Hi guys, it's Al Womp, the spiritual atheist, back again. Want to start off tonight talking about IQ points. I remember in the last video we talked about IQ scores being lowered from 14 points since the Victorian era. And then there's a new study released, the URL is below, that states that IQ points in the United States have gone up 15 points since the 1920s when they introduced iodized salt. Interesting. You know, it's enough sometimes to make me pull my hair. So either we're losing or we're gaining. And it's interesting that the gain was 15 points in less than a century, as opposed to a loss of 14 points over a couple, a couple of centuries. Also, I got me a email, and it starts off with, "Woe to you, antichrist, spirituals atheist." What I'm reading this as it says, because it comes. "We are in the end times. Even though I am your enemy, I will love you." And note the future tense. Have you skipped over the Bible's prediction of end times? There are 100 end time predictions that are correct and accurate, and another 100 scientific facts and foreknowledge from the Bible that is completely trustworthy. If you don't believe me, test, period, me, period. Look for yourself. And then it was followed by a second email. "You are my enemy. Sorry. I feel like I've arrived." But I must tell you, Michael, that the Antichrist is fictional, like Christ, Antichrist, it's made up. It's that there isn't any. It's a creation of most likely your own mind. That you see me as your enemy is certainly an indication that you've created a me that I would not recognize. But that's okay. We all tend to do this to some extent or another. It makes it easier for us to deal with things. Because what we perceive, what comes at us, is just pure energy in a way. It's visual energy or whatever, but it's undefined. And then that's the part that we seem to do to it, is that we define it. We project our own creation onto the world as it is, onto the raw world. We project our own world, our own creation. And that makes it easier for us to deal with, because we're dealing with something that we ourselves have created. And that certainly seems to be the case in this case. But I feel like I've arrived. I've got my first religious nutcase. Also, I noticed that, well, I'm sorry. I apologize, Michael. I shouldn't call you a nut, but really. And I've got to ask you, man, why is it that you guys have been in end times for close to 2,000 years? You were in end times when Jesus was supposedly alive. I know sooner or later you've got to get it right. There has to be an end time. But, your hatred of the world is your own creation. It must be terribly, terribly dark where you live. Uh, on a lighter note, Einstein, I don't know if Einstein invented it, but he sort of made mind experiments popular with, what imagining himself traveling away from the town clock as he approached the speed of light, what the watch on his pocket watch would compare to the watch on the town clock, this sort of thing. And I'm glad to propose a mind experiment, not quite of that quality. This is kind of very simple, but if you want to make a video to answer it, like you can put it into video response. If you want to do comments or email, and the better ones will pay attention to and go, and I'll decide who's better, of course, because it's my damn channel. Here's the proposition. Let us imagine a planet pretty much like our own. That is, we're going to have a planet with liquid water on it, the various heavy metals that are necessary, everything that's necessary for life. And on this planet, a species becomes dominant. And as it becomes dominant and maintains its dominance, it will face certain evolutionary challenges, which some, given the numbers that we're talking about here, I mean, the size of the universe, that some of these species are going to make it and some aren't. And the universe doesn't really care. I mean, there's no going to be anybody stepping in. Example, we talked about overpopulation. Well, to become a dominant species, you have to reproduce. Your reproduction methodology has to be superior to that of your competitors. And, like one of the things that we developed as advanced primates was kind of giving premature birth, which allows for a larger brain size, but also calls for more affection within the family, and taking care of this premature, a child that's about 2 years premature, actually. So at some point, though, that very strength is going to be turned against that species. That is, that they can reproduce better than anybody else, but at some point that's going to become to an overpopulation problem, like food crisis, etc., etc. And some planets will solve that and carry on, and some species won't. And that'll be the end of it. Another thing that immediately comes to mind is things like atomic energy, which the laws of physics are the same everywhere. So, atomic warfare becomes a very real possibility. And these are all, I think, evolutionary challenges, if you want, and also evolution itself becomes a challenge. And this is sort of where I think we are as humans. We have become aware, we are the first species to become aware that we are evolving, that life evolves. Adding our consciousness to the process must have an effect on it. Genetic research shows this, cloning shows this. I'm not going to take this to the life and death of the species level. I'll leave that to others. But the basic thing is that at some point, the species actually, to some extent, if not totally, will take control of its own evolutionary process. Just becoming aware of evolution makes that possibility almost inevitable. Darwin didn't know what he wrought. And I think I'm really, really interested in what you guys have to say. it, you know, who knows, maybe something of value will come out of it, you know, and, you know, if not, it would be interesting to see what you think. So be kind to yourselves. You know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the views and the subscriptions and the occasional upvotes and even the antichrist comments. This has been a blast, guys, and you know, I'm hoping to continue on doing it for a long time. See you later.